Maneuvering through budget cuts, we're following the race for new school board members. Will have a tackle new challenges to the Anchorage School District.
New beginnings in the Anchorage Assembly. We track the ramifications of incumbents deciding not to run.
And could bigger class sizes and less teachers be the future of the Fairbanks School District? We look at a new proposal.
And record heat and snow on the same day. I'll let you know what to expect next.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
You know what? Get off your butt and get down here and vote, because if you don't vote, you can't complain later.
And that's a voter message that comes as these school districts across the state face unknown budget shortfalls as the state's largest city heads to the polls. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rebecca Paulsha.
And I'm John Thompson. We'll get to those numbers, the budget numbers here in just a second. But first, we're following a series of the important races for the state's largest city as Anchorage deals with a budget shortfall. On today's ballot are 2 Anchorage school board seats, and Tracy Sinclair is at the touchboard with the details. Tracy.
Well, John and Rebecca, the Anchorage School Board has been in the spotlight this year with that uncertain budget from the state. They chose to close 2 elementary schools this year. 2 incumbents are running to return to their seats on the school board. Kelly Lessons is seeking her second full term. She previously served as the treasurer and finance chair for the board. Now her challenger is Mark Anthony Cox. He's an Army veteran and a business owner. Margot Bellamy has previously served as the board president. This is her 3rd term that she's trying to win. She's being challenged by Alexander Rosales, who is an Air Force veteran with 2 children in the district. Now, we expect early results sometime before 9 o'clock tonight, and I will go live from the digital desk as soon as those come in. So be sure to sign up for our breaking news push alerts.
From the school board, Joe Allgood looking at how the balance of power could change and how 6 Anchorage races could impact the direction of the assembly.
That's right. Half the assembly is up for election. We'll look at the early trends tonight before the certification later this month, how this could impact Mayor LaFrance's agenda and how the assembly makes decisions. Anchorage area voters have just 2 more hours to cast their ballot. Of the 6 seats, 4 do not have incumbents running for re-election, including Vice Chair Meg Zalatel, Karen Bronga, Mark Littlefield, and Randy Salt. Cameron Perez-Verdia and Daniel Voland are seeking re-election. We asked Assembly Chair Chris Constant, who is not up for re-election, what the big issues moving forward will be.
I think the bigger concerns that we face right now are uncertainty from the federal government and, ongoing financial challenges with the state. But we have strong partners with our friends in the state legislature, so I think we'll be weathering the storm.
We will be following how the results trend early, including if voters support a more conservative voice on the ballot. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
And we're looking at paying for new snow plows to updating trails and parks.
Yeah, Justin Matson breaks down some of the ballot propositions that he's eyeing tonight. Justin.
Think back to last winter and all that snow. Anchorage city leaders are asking for $3 million to improve services. We'll see with so little snow this winter what happens to Proposition 10. Property taxpayers would pay to replace some snow plows, and city leaders say improve snow hauling. The cost? $11.21 for every $100,000 in assessed value. Also, property taxpayers would pay $8 million to fix Anchorage area parks and trails under Proposition 3. The cost here? $1.73 for every $100,000 in assessed value. The tax cap here would also increase by 71 cents for operation and maintenance cost. And the $2 million proposition, Proposition 7 would replace fire engine trucks and water tenders. Would break down to 46 cents for every $100,000 in assessed value. That's a few of the 15 total ballot proposals I'll be keeping an eye on tonight. A full list is on our website and mobile app. Justin Matson, Alaska's news source.
Now to weather, and take a look at this snow piling up in Fairbanks with 3 to 6 inches across the interior. It was described as a wet, heavy snow melting around town this afternoon. Now, before the storm, it had been more than 3 weeks since the interior had seen any snowfall.
Yeah, but many believe the snow a little odd. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry joins us now with more on that and your forecast. Melissa.
Yeah, the only odd thing about it really is it had been so long since we had seen it. Now, spring snows, whether it's in Fairbanks or Anchorage or Juneau, it's often that wet, heavy snow. And that's because temperatures are warmer. So the ratio of liquid water to snow is much less and is much a denser snow. Makes it tough to shovel as well. Right now, sitting at 36 degrees, you can see more of that snow sticking in the higher elevations around Fairbanks. This is what it looks like right now on the Cease Highway. And we do still have winter weather advisories in effect, but that is actually for the next round of snow moving into tomorrow. As for this current storm, we are seeing a lot of rain mixing in town in Fairbanks, and especially communities there to the south, including in Nenana, where we're seeing rain with more snowfall further on to the east. But again, this storm system wrapping up tonight. Tomorrow, we'll see the next one pushing in, which is already bringing snow into the Norton Sound region. We'll see that moving east through the day on Wednesday. And it's that long line of moisture that extends across the Bering Sea into the Aleutians, where we're likely going to see heavy snow later this week. Meanwhile, in Anchorage, record heat, 51. The high temperature today, warmest day we'd seen in 176 days. It ties the daily record high temperature for today's date. The old record of 51 was set back in 1995. And we're still holding on to that heat. Look at Seward at nearly 60 degrees. Sunny conditions here across the region. Overnight tonight, we will see a little bit of cloud cover, and we will see those temperatures dropping back to the 30s. But I do expect most of us to stay above freezing overnight tonight. Tomorrow, starting out mostly sunny with increasing clouds into the afternoon, and those high temperatures right back into the mid-40s. And we'll have a closer look at that extended forecast for the first week of April here in a few minutes.
Thank you so much. One of Anchorage's busiest intersections is back to normal tonight after police say an early morning crash killed a man and a dog. Officers say it happened just before 6:30. Police say the victim stopped in the crosswalk to check on the dog that was hit by a car when he was hit himself. Southbound lanes between Benson and 36th Avenue were closed as police investigated.
All road users should be careful when using the roadway and be aware of their surroundings, whether they're adjacent to, entering to, crossing the roadway, and whether that's a pedestrian, an operator of a motor vehicle, or an operator of an e-bike. Any of those particular forms of transportation can result in an injury.
Police say the drivers of both trucks involved are cooperating with police in the investigation.
Now, as we said at the top of the hour, cuts in displacements are coming to school districts statewide next year. They're waiting to hear how much funding they might get from the state. The Anchorage School District announced that we could see hundreds of staff displacements because of a lack of education funding. Matsu Borough School District in a similar situation, saying cuts next year are coming either way. The district has created 2 budgets this year, each reflecting a potential amount of funding from the state. Still, each budget comes with cuts. The district says if a $1,000 BSA is passed, it will need to cut nearly 80 positions. If the BSA is 680, those cuts will be closer to 120.
Every single superintendent that I've spoken to is dealing with this issue, trying to decide where they can cut, what cuts they can make to try to balance at a 680 or at a 1,000.
I'm very disappointed that we've had to move forward with the displacements of our educators, and I know that they are really struggling as they work through their situations.
Well, right now, if passed, House Bill 69 would increase the BSA to $1,000. The bill has so far passed the House and is now in the Senate.
We are currently working on a committee substitute for House Bill 69. We have worked very closely with our House counterparts to craft what I think is a pretty solid piece of education policy. I anticipate the legislation will receive wide bipartisan support in both bodies.
All right, Alaska's news source reached out to Governor Dunleavy for his response toward the cut in the bill, but we have not yet heard back.
In the interior, the Fairbanks School District recommends larger class sizes and possible teacher layoffs in its final budget. The pupil-teacher ratio would increase by 1 student for every teacher. It impacts every grade from kindergarten through senior high schoolers. And the recommended budget also cuts 2.5 full-time teaching positions from Barnett Elementary, for example. It also takes $1 million out of the budget for salaries and benefits, expecting vacancies in some positions. But all of this, district leaders emphasize, is based on uncertainty with state funding.
It's always a challenge when we don't know what funding we're going to get from the state. Because when we don't know what funding we're going to get, we have to guess. And we have a lot of very smart people who look at, trends and look up information, and they make very good guesses, but it is a best guess.
Now, in the coming weeks, the Borough Assembly will consider the district's recommended budget as part of its own annual budget meetings. From there, the Assembly will determine its contribution to education.
And still ahead, a new look at the status of the Alaska LNG project.
What we've learned about new developments and what lawmakers have to say.
And it's Autism Awareness Day. In today's health report, we take a look at the misunderstandings, challenges, and new advancements in treating autism.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Now, with a looming energy crisis in Alaska, lawmakers are touting the proposed Alaska LNG project, which is seeing renewed interest both at home and overseas. The Alaska Gasline Development Corporation says a deal between it and Glen Farney Alaska LNG is enhancing momentum of the project. The governor also announced a letter of intent with Taiwan last week. On the other hand, opponents, including several environmental groups, have filed multiple lawsuits over the proposal. They point to what they say are excessive costs, including potential damage to the environment through uncalculated methane emissions. Some are lamenting the cost of the project, which years ago was already in the range of tens of billions of dollars. Oil and gas analyst Larry Pursley says that either way, the LNG proposal isn't a short-term project.
And the pipeline is much further away, if ever, as opposed to the utilities bringing in the small volumes of liquefied natural gas that they will need to keep homes warm, businesses warm, and the lights on.
Now, secondly, Fury, the second largest operator in Cook Inlet, says it plans to drill up to 2 new gas wells. A statement from Fury says that could happen in the coming weeks.
Well, tonight we're hearing from Durham School Services following the arrest of a North Pole school bus driver last week. Anna Lamb with School Bus Transportation had this to say in a statement, quote, "The safety of the students we transport is our top priority. When we learned of the arrest of Lawrence Dunlap, he was immediately suspended, meaning he was removed from service and is no longer driving a bus," end quote. Court documents say Dunlap was driving an empty school bus when troopers got calls about him driving erratically. After stopping him, troopers say Dunlap was angry and threatened them. After tests, troopers concluded he was under the influence, and they say he had 2 guns.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.